Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. Happy Hot Friday. Today is Friday, June the 27th of 2025. And today, with Fridays with Kelly Renee, we're talking all things PCOS. Now, if you guys remembered back in February, I did part one to this, and I'm so sorry that it's taken me so long to do part two. And I'm want to apologize to my PCOS warriors who have been navigating through this, and I'm sorry that I feel like you guys have left that I've left you guys hanging. But here I am, ready to just give you some interventions about, um, interventions using botanicals or supplements to help, or that may help, because I cannot, that may help. I'll say may help. That may help to reduce the symptoms or even alleviate the symptoms that you feel every month or all the time with PCOS. And so I want to introduce myself for those who may be new here. My name is Kelly Miller, and I am your favorite culinary nutritionist. And so what I do is I show people how to use food, how to use lifestyle interventions and supplements to help them meet their wellness goals. And so that's what I love to do. I love to talk all things wellness and health. And of course, as you guys know, I love to cook, and I love to and I love to cook for you. So I'm put it all together to help you guys. All right. All righty. So let's get down to the business of the day. And today we are talking about PCOS, like I said, but we're talking about it in the sense of what types of botanicals and supplements can we use to help alleviate or eliminate or lessen, I'll say, some of the symptoms that we feel or that people may feel from PCOS. I am not a PCOS warrior, but I know a lot of people who do or have been diagnosed with this disorder. And so I'm just going to briefly go through what PCOS is, and then I'm going to go start with the botanicals. And I'm going to give you guys 6 different botanicals or supplemental interventions. All right. Now, polycystic ovarian syndrome or PCOS is characterized by irregular menstrual cycles, hyperandrogenism, and polycystic ovaries. So hyperandrogenism, as we talked about it before, that just means that there's an increased level of androgens in the female body. Androgens meaning male hormones, okay? Or male sex hormones, all right? And before we even get started, I want you guys to know, and I have to put this disclaimer out there, that please remember to consult your primary care physician, your endocrinologist, your OBGYN, or whoever you go to for your care before you start implementing any of these interventions, okay? All righty, so routinely, PCOS is treated with pharmaceuticals, okay? So a lot of times your doctor will give you a prescription for you to take to the pharmacy and tell you what it is that you need to do. Some doctors treat it with metformin. We have some new interventions where they're using GLP-1 such as Ozempic, Wegovy. They're using some of those things, semaglutide, to help eliminate some of the symptoms of PCOS, okay? But what I want to talk about, because I am a nutritionist and I studied at a naturopathic school where they told us how to use food, how to use lifestyle interventions, how to use botanicals and supplements to help you meet your wellness goals, all right? And so that's the scope that I'm always going to come from. I'm never going to come from a pharmaceutical lens, all right? So first of all, you're probably saying, what the heck is a botanical? We heard a botanical garden, but what in the world is a botanical? And a botanical is just a plant, all right? So a botanical is a substance that is derived from a plant, or it could be the plant itself, all right? So I'm going to talk about 6 different things. They may not necessarily be a plant, but they may have derived from a plant, all right? So if you don't like the term botanicals, we can use supplements, because a lot of these things can be found in supplement form as well, all right? So, like I said, we're going to talk about 6, and we're going to start with number 1. All right. Number 1 is chamomile. Now, we all know chamomile because we have chamomile tea. Chamomile is a plant, and this plant contains a substance called flavonoids and another substance called antioxidants. All right. And these are substances that have special anti inflammatory effects. All right. One of the main things that chamomile does, especially chamomile tea, a lot of times we do take it in the tea form, is that it's antispasmodic. And so, what that means is that if you have spasms, think menstrual cramps, when you drink some chamomile tea, it helps to reduce those muscle or those menstrual cramps. All right. Studies have also showed that chamomile can be used to reduce PCOS symptoms in ovarian tissue and increase the number of uterine follicles and increase luteinizing hormone secretion. All right. And so the reason why this is important is because we want our ovaries to be healthy, right? And so we want our ovaries to secrete the right amount or the hormones that need to be secreted so that they can have their optimal health. And so luteinizing hormone does a bunch of different things, and I'm just going to talk about 3 things that it does. All right. One of the things that it does is it aids in ovulation. All right. So luteinizing hormone is the hormone that triggers the release of the egg from the ovary. And so why is that important? Because we know that with PCOS, we have the ovaries almost at a standstill where they are not releasing the egg. So think, if I drink some chamomile tea or take a chamomile tincture, this chamomile will help to trigger the release of the egg from my ovary. All right. One of the other things that it does, and like I said, I'm just going to talk about 3 things that chamomile does. It aids in hormone production, okay? And so it stimulates the ovaries to produce estrogen and progesterone. And those 2 hormones help to prepare your uterus, which holds the baby. So it helps to prepare your uterus for the implantation of that little zygote that's floating around, all right, or that little embryo. All right, so it helps with that implantation. And also, luteinizing hormone helps with the corpus luteum. And the corpus luteum is a structure that remains after ovulation, and it produces progesterone. So think the little shell that I don't know, when I was in school, I always saw the corpus luteum as like a little shell. Like, that's just, and you know me, I always have to put something with something so that I remember. But it's a structure that remains after ovulation, and it produces progesterone. Progesterone, as we know when we talked about it before in part 1, progesterone is what helps us or helps the baby to stick, basically. All right. All righty. So number 2, the second botanical that we're going to talk about is chaste tree. Now, while I do not have PCOS, I did tell y'all in the beginning of this recording that I was going to talk about one of the botanicals or the supplements that I take personally, and I take chaste tree berry extract. And it tastes a little bit like elderberry, like it's a liquid, it's in a dropper, and that's what I take every day, okay, depending on where I am in my menstrual cycle. And so chaste tree berry, or we'll just talk about chaste tree as a whole. Chaste tree has compounds in its limbs and its leaves and in the fruit that have anti-inflammatory and wound healing properties. Not womb, W-O-M-B, not womb, but wound, W-O-U-N-D. Okay, wound, okay. Wound healing properties, okay? All righty, so chaste tree extract corrects high estrogen, and then it reduces high estrogen. Okay, let me just start from the beginning. Let me just read what I wrote, okay? Chaste tree berry extract or chaste tree extract corrects high estrogen-dependent hormonal imbalance or PMS and reduces its symptoms. So basically, all that is saying is that you have high levels of estrogen when you are going through your menstrual cycle, and some people have the symptoms called PMS. All right. And so what chaste tree does, it helps to reduce the symptoms of PMS. All right. And this is one of the smartest things. And I always say God has a way. God is so smart. Everything that we need literally is out there in the woods, created in nature. All right. Everything that we need is in nature. And like, he is so smart that this, like the way he created this plant, he created this plant to have a mechanism on the inside of it where if you have too much estrogen in your body, it's going to help correct that estrogen to progesterone ratio. All right. So it basically changes the estrogen to progesterone. Now, how smart is that? All right. Now, one of the things that some of the ladies who may be perimenopausal, you may have some symptoms that mimic pregnancy. One of them can be nausea, and that's because you have reduced levels of progesterone. All right. And so, because of that, you want to make sure that to take this chase tree because that will help to flip the switch basically, and it'll turn that estrogen into progesterone. All right. And the recommended dose of chase tree is 500 to 1,000 milligrams of the dried plant. So when you get that botanical, or when you go to the health food store, or maybe if you even look on Amazon and look for a reputable brand, you want to make sure that the dose that you take is between 500 and 1,000 milligrams. All right. That was number 2. I'm trying to be short. I see I'm already at 11 minutes. All righty. All right. Number 3. And some of y'all may already know about this, especially if you are diabetic or pre-diabetic. You already know about cinnamon. All right. So cinnamon is a substance. We all know what cinnamon is. I love cinnamon. And so cinnamon helps with PCOS because remember, PCOS is linked to insulin resistance, or a lot of times you'll hear where doctors will say that the main symptom of PCOS is insulin resistance. All right. So what does cinnamon do? Cinnamon extract and cinnamon essential oil, they help to increase insulin sensitivity. All right. Now, all this means, or what this means, is that it helps the body to uptake glucose and store it as glycogen in the liver, all right? And it's a powerful antioxidant. And so studies that have, where they've had study participants use either cinnamon extract or cinnamon essential oil, studies have proven that cinnamon essential oil or cinnamon extract, they help to reduce blood sugar levels and blood lipid levels. So not only will it reduce the levels of glucose in your blood, but it's also going to reduce the amount of lipids or fats in your blood as well. All right. And the reason why it reduces the amount of blood glucose or blood sugar is because it helps the body to be more sensitive to insulin. So that means the insulin can actually do the job that it has been paid to do. All right. It's going to do its job, and it's going to help to store the excess glucose in your body. All right. So that was number 3. That was cinnamon. All right. We're down to the last 3, y'all. All righty. I came for a good time, not a long time. So we'll see how this goes. Yeah, no, I could talk. All righty. So number 4 is flax. All right. Think flax seeds or flaxseed oil. All right. And flax is a powerful, tiny little seed. Those things are so tiny, but they are loaded with power. They are full of an oil called a linolenic oil. Yeah, linoleic. Like if you know me, my pronunciation. So linoleic oil, linolenic oil. I'm sorry, y'all. Or linoleic acid, okay? And omega-3 fatty acids. So these are some good oils that are anti-inflammatory. All right. So these tiny little seeds are potent because they have these beautiful oils that help to reduce inflammation in our body. All right. Not only do these oils help to reduce inflammation, it goes with what I'm about to say. Okay. It contains 27 cancer inhibitors, all right? So there's 27 molecules in that tiny little seed that helps inhibit cancer cells from proliferating in your body, all right? Another thing, and this is related to PCOS, aside from the inflammation side, but this flaxseed or flaxseed oil, it helps to reduce androgen levels in the body. All right. So, or not us, because I don't have PCOS, but ladies who have PCOS, you guys have, or they say that you have increased levels of male hormones in your body, all right? So, this powerful tiny little seed is going to help to reduce the levels of testosterone in your body, all right? And so, we know that or one of the symptoms of PCOS and how you know that you have those high levels of testosterone in your body is you have something called I'll just call it excessive facial hair. The term is hirsutism, which is abnormal hair growth. You also can have disorders as far as your menstrual cycle not being regular, painful periods, or just amenorrhea where it's not there at all, and obesity. All right, but flaxseed helps to reduce the androgen levels in your bloodstream. So it's amazing. Amazing. All of these things the Lord created, like for us, like He is so good. Like He really is. Like I'm amazed every time I look at something or I'm researching something and I see all these things that are found in nature that the Lord has given us. Like He's amazing. Alrighty, so number 5 is N-acetylcysteine, all right? N-acetylcysteine is an amino acid, all right? This amino acid stimulates insulin secretion from your pancreatic cells. So we know that insulin is made in the beta cells of the pancreas, and this amino acid helps to stimulate that insulin secretion from those beta cells, which are located inside of the pancreas, all right? So N-acetylcysteine, or NAC. It helps to increase fertility. It improves ovulation. It improves your lipid profile. So it's going to reduce your blood lipid levels. It improves your insulin sensitivity. Okay. So, and this is a study that I looked at, and it said specifically in women who have PCOS, levels of insulin resistance were lowered, okay, because of them implementing N-acetylcysteine into their dietary patterns every day, all right? I don't have a dosage on that, but I just wanted to tell y'all about it. So that's called N-acetylcysteine. It's a beautiful amino acids, like we talked about before, or I'm sure I mentioned it before, either in a Health Over BMI or some type of webinar or something. We know that amino acids are the building blocks of proteins, but amino acids also build our hormones. It builds so many different compounds in the body. They're so important. And this one, as you can see, is one of the things that help to improve fertility, ovulation, blood lipid or blood fat levels, or basically blood fat levels, and insulin resistance. It helps to improve it or increase insulin sensitivity in the body, all right? And so the last one that we are going to talk about is one that is all over the news. At one point, I saw a lot on TikTok, and this is inositol. Inositol, which I love to call nature's metformin, all right? And so a lot of times people who have been diagnosed with PCOS, one of the first prescriptions that their doctor gives them is a prescription for metformin, all right? And so metformin is a compound or a pharmaceutical that helps to reduce the blood sugar in the body, all right? But, excuse me, sorry, inositol literally works the same way that metformin does, in that it's a compound that, it's a compound that plays many roles in the body. It does a lot of things, but one of the main things that it does is that it aids with insulin signaling, meaning that it lets the body know how to regulate the insulin levels within the body system, all right? So this insulin signaling helps to regulate blood sugar levels. So it's almost like somebody sitting there with a walkie-talkie, and they're like, breaker, breaker, we got 500 molecules of glucose coming through here. We need 500 molecules of insulin to take it and to store it up as glycogen in the liver. Literally, that's what it's telling. It's like telling the insulin what it needs to do in the body, okay? So basically, it increases insulin sensitivity, all right? So That is it. That's all that I have for you today. Like I said, I want to come for a short time and not a long time. As you guys know, like I said in the beginning, before you even start any type of supplemental things, you're going to consult your doctor. If you feel like, oh, I don't want to consult my doctor, you need to look at any prescription medications that you have, any things that's going on in your body. You need to take that into consideration. Look at the paper that you get with your prescription and look for something called an intervention or uh not an intervention but a I can't think of the word. Interaction. I'm sorry, interaction. You're gonna see if I take, like for example, you may be on metformin, you may be prescribed metformin. That does not mean I would not recommend that you take metformin and inositol at the same time because they do the same exact action, and you can end up with plummeting your blood sugars going straight to the basement. All right. So you always want to look on your prescriptions and consult with your doctor to make sure that these botanicals won't interact with any of the medications that you may be currently taking. All right. Now, as usual, like I always say, if you need help, I'm here to help you. Okay. You can email me at kelly@prepbykellyrenays.co. You can always send me a text message or a direct message because I have my phone all the time now. For my DMs, I do get them for the business. It's a little bit easier because I have them set up a different way versus my personal DMs. Like it's hard for me to see my personal DMs, but the business ones come through. Go figure. But please, if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, please feel free to reach out to me. Like I always tell people, I'm just always piddling around. So I'm always around. I'm always here and I'm always ready to answer and to help you. All right. And so hopefully you have gotten something from this today. I'm going to just, like I always like to do, recap it real quick. I closed my notebook, but I'm going to tell you just what the 6 are. Again, we talked about chamomile. We talked about chaste tree, cinnamon, flax, N-acetylcysteine, and inositol. All right. Now, these are some of the things that you may have heard of, you may have tried, and I don't want anyone to get discouraged who may be suffering from PCOS and may have tried some of these things. Our body is what we call unique and individual. In nutrition, they told us, in school, they told us that the body, there's something called bioindividuality, meaning that different things affect people differently. All right. And so sometimes you will have to go through a trial and error period where you may have to try something for a month or two. And if you realize that it's not working, then you have to stop that thing and try something else. You're going to try that thing. If that doesn't work, you might want to try something else. Sometimes your nutritionist will help you along with that, where we can say, hey, if you take these two things together, we have found where it has a synergistic effect or they work better together. So sometimes you might have to be put on a protocol by your nutritionist. Okay. So that's why I say that we're here to help. I don't want you to get frustrated. I don't want you to get sad or feel like that there's no hope, because there is always hope for you. All right. As long as there's a new day, there's a new hope. All right. So I want you to be encouraged. Again, if you have any questions about this, please, 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 please feel free to drop them in the comments. Feel free also to reach out to me. And I guess that's it. I guess I'll talk to you guys next week. I'm not sure what I'll talk about next Friday. Like I always say, if there's something that you want me to chit chat about, then please drop it in the comments. Stay tuned for my page or on my page for all information related to the catering side. All right. And so just keep in touch. All right. I love you guys, and I will talk to you all soon.